Hey, welcome back to my channel Endless Pages. I'm Liv. Welcome to today's video, which is my reading wrap up for the month of August. Please bear with me in this video as my voice is still recovering from an infected throat. So it's struggling a little bit, but I'm trying to talk a bit louder to make up for it. And if there's a lot of cuts, it's because I have to stop and cough or take a drink and keep going. So I apologize in advance for that. My reading month was a lot better than last month. I read 4 books and a short story. So the slump is being defeated slowly. I completely and utterly failed Pick Pongathon. That was one of the readathons I was participating in. I completely failed that, and then I also just failed Magical Readathon by not completing one prompt, and the only prompt I didn't complete was start a book with a drink, which is like the stupidest prompt to fail on, like literally the easiest prompt, because I don't think you can double up books. If you can double up books, then I passed, but if you can't, I failed. But that's okay, I can make up for that at any time, that prompt. I'm not going to be super strict about that. So with that being said, let's get started with my first book of the month. So the first book I read in August was Vampires Never Get Old, Tales with a Fresh Bite. This is by like a collection of short stories by a bunch of different authors, but basically it's edited by Zoriada Cordova and Natalie C. Parker. Can't remember heaps about this book. Luckily I took notes as I read the stories, because go me. There's how many stories? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stories. The first one I do remember. It's basically, the first one was called 7 Nights for Dying by the author Tessa Grayton. There goes my voice. I'm so sorry. And this one's about this high school girl who works at a cafe, and she's like an artist, and her art's been put up on the walls of the cafe. Wow, this video is going to be a struggle. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, so her art has been put up on the walls of the cafe, and this vampire comes in and is like, whose art is this? And like notices and really likes it, sees the potential in it or whatever. Yeah, and then it basically like feeds off her, like, and talks with her like for like 6 nights, and then it's like, if you come to me on the 6th night, like, I'll make you into a vampire, like, but it's your choice, blah blah blah. And what really creeped me out about this, it's going to be really like hypocritical thought though, was the age gap. And it was because of how often they mentioned she was a teenager. Like, they would constantly remind you of the fact that this was a teenage girl. And it's hypocritical because most of the stuff vampires I read and love has a major similar age gap. It's always a girl of high school age or in high school. Vampire Academy, Vampire Diaries, Twilight, all of that kind of same situation. But it was just really creepy the way she wrote it and the way they constantly reminded you of her age. And it was really sexually charged, the book. Not like, ooh, this is like fun, but like I was really creeped out by it. So yeah, this book, what else did I say? I think I literally just wrote, yeah, it creeped me out and made me uncomfortable. Oh yeah, and I also didn't super like the writing style. I have written here, some moments read like a teenager writing a Wattpad fan fiction, trying to sound cool and adult. Yeah, so yeah, it was really creepy how much the fact they brought up her age and then still had these quite erotic sex scenes. So that made me really uncomfortable. So that wasn't a great start to the book. I hated that one. The next story, Boys from Blood River by Rebecca Randhorse. I just wrote no thoughts about this one. Was just meh. I can't even remember what that one was about. The third one was by Julie Murphy, Senior Year Sucks, about a girl who was part of a vampire hunting family. I said that one was a bit more interesting, but obviously hasn't left an impact on me because I cannot remember what it was about. And then we have The Boy and the Bell by Heidi Haling, set in like the 15th century, where around the myth. This one was a bit more interesting because it was kind of more based on actual like historical stuff, where back in that time a lot of people were accidentally buried alive, which I shouldn't laugh. Why am I laughing? That's like horrifying. Like one of my worst fears, right? So the story was based around this. A lot of people were buried alive, so they would put like bells so you could ring, and they kind of turned that into a vampire thing of it being vampires. coming out of the grave. So that one was like interesting, made some comments about class and wealth. So that one was a bit more interesting. A Guide for the Newly Aired Desi by Samira Ahmed. The writing was a little bit cringy, but I enjoyed the metaphor of the colonist and the unique style of how, it was like written as like a how-to guide, which was really fun and unique. I'm always up for something that's a little bit more different. In Kind by Kayla Whaley was, that one was kind of cool actually, because it was about a vampire with a disability. So I really, really connected more with that one. I thought that one had a lot more to say and was written a lot better than the other stories. And it kind of got into the debate a bit about, how do I put this? Like, quality of life for people with disabilities and people making those decisions on their behalf. So that was really confronting, but I think that was probably my favourite story in the whole collection. Then Vampires Never Say Die by the editors. That one was like, all I wrote was social media one. And then I just wrote meh. So obviously, again, didn't leave much of an impact. And then Bestiary by Laura Ruby, I just wrote meh. And then the other one was First Kill by V. Schwab. And yeah, I enjoyed that one. It wasn't amazing. Like, I didn't feel super... It was just meh. All the other stories, other than, I guess, the disability one, was, like, really meh. And the Desi one was really cool. But yeah, overall, I really didn't have a good time reading this book. That first creepy one just left a sour taste in my mouth for the whole rest of the book. And I rated it 3 stars because I just really didn't have a good time reading it. And it was really disappointing. I'm glad I got it from the library because I would be spewing right now if I'd spent actual money on this book. The second book I read in August was Fahrenheit 451. This is by author Ray Bradbury. This was for the Magical Readathon prompt to read a book with an orange cover. This is set in a world where books are blamed for all the sadness in the world, and basically instead of putting out firefighters burn books. They're banned. They burn them. That's their job. And our main character is a firefighter, and we follow him and his kind of journey is the right word, I guess. I'm really conflicted about this book. So the one thing I'm going to say I didn't like about this book was the writing style, because it is written in that classic style that I just find really hard and confusing to read. And I think that I would have rated this like 4 or 5 stars had it been written not in that classic style, because I did understand what the book was trying to say and the power of words, and that was really moving. But the style just really made me struggle and not want to pick it up, despite me enjoying the premise of the book and enjoying the message, because it's something that I really enjoyed. And of course, I'm going to appreciate a book that talks about the power of books and the power of words and, you know, the hope they can bring to people and, you know, the joy and just the thought of, you know, questioning stuff and discussing and the power of words. Like, of course I'm going to enjoy a book that talks about that. It was just such a pity that I wasn't able to fully understand it and fully appreciate it. Like, it went over my head because I was too dumb to understand what he was trying to say. So when rating this book, I was really conflicted because I didn't want to rate it the same as like Vampires Never Get Old and then this other book I'm going to tell you about as well that I rated 3 stars, because I just, clearly it's not on that level, but my level of enjoyment was like similar. So I think I'm going to rate it 3.5 stars because it's, yeah. It was a great idea and I really appreciate the premise, just the writing style was just not for me. And I know that, and it sucks. If it was written in a normal, like, non-classical style, I would have eaten this up. So yeah, that was a bit disappointing. But I appreciate the message and I appreciate what the book was trying to say. Next up, I read the first book in the Throne of Glass series, Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. So, okay, this book, I have not a good opinion to give you. So this is about Selena. Selena's an assassin. You all know this, right? She's an assassin. She has to compete to become like the champion of the king. And then all of her competitors like start dying and she has to figure out what's going on. I didn't enjoy this book. I feel like I'm gonna hide after saying that. I didn't enjoy this book. What's the hype? I don't understand the hype. What the hell is going on? Am I being pranked by the whole of the book community? I found Selena's character so painfully annoying and immature. Like, I know she's a teenager, but oh my god, the level of immaturity she has. The annoying, I mean, you can be confident, and don't get me wrong, I love a confident female lead, but there's a difference between confidence and annoying arrogance. Who's the best here? Why am I? Why am I smarter than everyone else? Her constant in the dialogue while she's training with the other competitors, it's like, oh yeah, I could take down this guy this way, this way, this way. And sure, she has a right to be confident, a little bit arrogant. She's the best assassin, okay? But it's annoying when every 30 seconds she's constantly thinking about how she's better than everyone else. I also didn't find the mystery that intriguing. I wasn't like eager to find out. I don't like love triangles as well. Maybe that's why I didn't like it as well. I just found her super annoying. I didn't like this book at all. Like, I really didn't want to pick it up. I'm so surprised by my dislike for this book. And I mean, I'm kind of going to give the rest of the series a go, because maybe it's like ACOTAR, where I didn't like the first book, but the other books in the series are some of my favorite books. So maybe it's just a first book thing, and I need to wait for the writing to get better and to mature and Selena to get a little less annoying. I don't know. And then I also heard people say, why didn't you read Assassin's Blade first? And I'm like, no. I put a poll on Twitter and I said, answer this question for me once and for all. Do I read Throne of Glass first, or do I read Assassin's Blade? And I don't know if I can find a picture of the poll. I will add it in if I can find proof. Majority of people said read Throne of Glass first. So I did. And now people are saying, why did you read Throne of Glass first? I'm like, well, it's too late now. I'm too far in. So please, in the comments, let me know if I should continue with this series and convince me why this book series gets better. Because I didn't like it. I didn't like the writing style. I didn't like Selena. She was so annoying. I feel like I didn't really get to know Dorian and... what's his face? Dorian and Cole, or Kale, however you say his name. I feel like I didn't get to know them well enough to really feel any feelings for them or have any thoughts on them. Yeah. I even tried, I had to do the audiobook. I was so bored with it that I just had to force myself through it. And the audiobook was annoying as well. I don't know. I just didn't like this book. I didn't like it. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Does it get better? And now let me know in the comments as well if I continue on with the series. Do I read Assassin's Blade 3rd now? I don't know. Every single person I see has a different opinion and it drives me nuts. I think I forgot to say as well, I read this book for the prompt female author? No, that doesn't sound right. I'll put the prompt on the screen. That's the prompt I read it for. Or female protagonist. I don't know. This book sucked. I didn't like it. I rated it 3 stars. And I was being generous. So this was really disappointing. Then I read Kingdom of the Wicked by Kerri Manicello. This was for the prompt in the Magical Readathon, a book on someone else's worst list that you think you'll enjoy. And I now see why this was on someone's worst list. My god, this sucked. So this is about our main character, Emilia. Oh my god, me and character names. Emilia is a twin sister to Vittoria, and they are witches in Italy. And Emilia finds Vittoria's body, and she's dead, and then vows vengeance to find out who killed her sister. And then she comes across the demon prince Wrath, who says that he is sworn to help her find out what happened to her sister. Yeah. This was... I felt like going into this, I thought it was going to be great enemies to lovers. I hate you, you're a demon prince and I feel like they barely interacted, first of all. There was one scene where I was okay, he's threatening her, but kind of flirting, and I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. And then there was none of that. The rest of the banter was weak and not cute, not that level of enemies to lovers at all. I also found main characters this month. I found Amelia a bit annoying. And I, before I read this book, in a lot of reviews, I saw people saying, like, this is just like reading a cookbook. And I totally see that criticism now because, like, her family, like, runs a restaurant. And of course, yes, if your family runs a restaurant and you're cooking in the restaurant, that's going to be part of the dialogue, right? Like what you're working on. But every time she was cooking something or every time she was like gathering ingredients for a spell, they would list every single goddamn ingredient and then how she would prepare it. And that was just like unnecessary, like paragraphs of unnecessary cooking instructions. Like I see that criticism and I agree with it. Yeah, you barely got to know Wrath as well. Like, I know it was trying to set up more intrigue for, like, that, cliffhanger ending, but the mystery was boring. Her thought process for who it could have been that killed her sister, she was so wrong for, like, 90% of it, and she kept going back to this one theory that was wrong, and it was just so irritating. And there was a twist with one of the characters that I was like, yeah, I'm not that surprised. And normally I'm not someone that can, like, pick up. Like, normally I'm someone that's really slow about figuring out, like, really obvious characters and betrayals and all that. But nothing surprised me in this book. I really struggled to keep my attention. There was no enemies to lovers. Where was the enemies to lovers? Like, it was boring. Nothing special about this book, and I thought it was pretty bad. So I also rated it 3 stars. So finishing off the month with actually something good was a short story by Madeline Miller. This is Galatea. I think that's how you say it. Look how tiny it is. It's like a 20-page short story. It's tiny. I love that they like made a hard copy of this. I love it. It's so cute. This is a short story about this sculptor, and he sculpts marble. He's really talented. He sculpts this beautiful woman, and a goddess blesses her like him, and like she comes to life. And then she becomes the sculptor's wife, and he expects her to be a, I guess, submissive wife. But she's a woman, and she has her own thoughts and, feelings and a brain. And yeah, she wants her own independence because she's a human being, not a goddamn statue. So this was really confronting read. Like, I would warn you to check the trigger warnings. Okay, hello, Olivia here. So I just wanted to quickly tell you some of the actual trigger warnings. So some of the content warnings include pregnancy-related stuff, and domestic abuse and imprisonment and stuff like that. So there's actually quite a comprehensive list on Storygraph that I can link in the description. So if you want to go check that out before you pick up the book, it'll be in the description for you. Cannot believe how much a 20-page short story has stuck with me and affected me. Like, that's how beautiful Madeline Miller's writing is, that it was this tiny little thing and she had me like in tears and like sitting there for the next hour in the dark just like thinking about it. This was a beautiful story. Every time Madeline Miller puts a feminist spin on it, she does it absolutely fantastically. It was really fascinating. So in the book, it's not really a spoiler. In the book, she talks about the actual story that this is Greek mythology is based on, and So there we have it. That is my August reading month. Overall, a pretty disappointing reading month in terms of, yeah, what I read, enjoyment, I guess. I was happy with how much I read, just really disappointed by what I read. Like, I'm so desperate for a good, thick 5-star read at the moment. Like, obviously I loved this, but it was tiny. And I just, yeah, I really want to get stuck into a thick, amazing book. So hopefully next month will be better for me. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what was your favorite read of August, and what was your least favorite read of August as well. I'd love to see the comparisons. As always, all of my social media links are in the description below. Come hang out with me on other social medias, because that's where I spend all of my time when I'm not reading, is on Twitter. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in whatever the hell I post next. Bye!